Hello there. The purpose of this video is to instruct you or give you some examples, at least my example, for journal assignment 8, if I'm not mistaken, so JA8. We are beginning the 8th week of the semester. This is the halfway point. Okay, so it's very important. Let's see. I will start here at the welcome start here page. And I noticed that this video right here is one in which you could actually see my face. And I will be doing that soon, another video where you can look at me, I guess. I consider doing that for this video, but I just haven't had the time to set that up properly. All right, let's see, let's look at the, we should start with the syllabus, schedule, etc. Let me zoom in a bit on this. One thing that you'll notice on this page, syllabus, schedule, textbook, and instructor policies. Again, I'm still noticing that some students are, when I say find the syllabus or find the schedule, they're not sure where to go. And sometimes when I tell a student, well, click on the syllabus schedule, they go, where is it? Right? No, this is something that you should know. Really should have known on week 1, beginning of the semester, and that was 7 weeks ago. All right, so you should know it now. You'll notice, and I do want to look at the syllabus, I made some changes there. And I made changes here on what I didn't call this master schedule. Maybe that's what I should have called it from the start. But that's kind of the term that I've been using for it. But this is the assignments and course schedule chart, okay? And I made an improvement in that I added the late due date to it, okay? Now, this chart is organized by week and by due dates. So if you'll notice this item right here, there are several dates. There's the date available, when the assignment becomes available, the date when, and of course there's the time, which is usually becomes available at 8 in the morning. Almost all of them do, or maybe all of them. The due date for each assignment is 8:20, not 8:27, but this is the column for that. All right, and for the first one it is, but this is the column when the assignment is due on time. Okay, the on time due date. Then there's the late due date, and this is what I added. The time that it's due is I think always 11:59 p.m. But I added this column. Now the organizing item though is the due date. Okay, the week and the due date. So you'll notice that this is, it goes, 8/27, 8/29, and then it's the Septembers and Octobers, which is where we are right now. Right? We're in the October dates, and so on and so forth, all the way to glorious December, right? I like November too. I prefer December in many ways November to December. But yeah, toward the end of the semester. Okay. So that is the organizing date, but I added late due dates as well. Those are important. And throughout the past few weeks, I've been saying that this chart, this master schedule, only has the due date and not the late due date. Well, I felt a little uncomfortable about that because you really should be able to see the late due date as well. I don't want you to abuse that fact. And what I mean by that is to kind of say, well, the real due date, is the second one. In a way, that's true, I guess. That is true. The absolute deadline is the late due date, but be careful. You really should be working according to the on-time due dates because if you're always behind, okay, here's the problem. Here's the main problem. There are two problems. One is that if you're working off of the late date, right, then you are behind. Other things are already starting. Other assignments are already in progress while you're still trying to do the one from before because I've given you more time for it, right? So, and then the second reason is, and this is the Murphy's Law reason, that what can go wrong does go wrong, especially if you deserve it, okay? I am a person who believes in merit, that we deserve things or we don't. Now, if a hurricane comes and destroys my house, I don't deserve that, right? So I can't say that it was my fault that a hurricane came and hit my house, right? But if But if I could maybe board up the windows to my house, right? The hurricane will come either way, whether I deserve it or not, right? But whether my windows break or not partially depends on me. If it's extremely strong, category 8, right, it's going to destroy everything, right? But if it's a category 1 or 2, my windows might survive, especially if I prepared, right? So again, this is the fact. This is scientific, mathematical fact, and this is how I live my life. I don't live it the other way. I am a person of faith, right? And you'll see that in my essay. But the facts are facts, right? And so so why am I saying this? Because this is like the hurricane. If you're trying to turn in something late, and something goes wrong, if let's say the hurricane is your intranet goes out or the electricity goes out or something like that, and not through some general disaster, because if the electricity goes out for everybody, then we'll do something. We teachers will say you have an extra week or something. That's if everybody's lights go out. But if your lights go out, then that's not the same. That was your own personal problem. And here's the thing. You were on the late deadline. You should have been working according to the on-time deadline. So I always have mercy and I always have sympathy, always, every single time. But I cannot act on that mercy or sympathy if there was a logical process that wasn't followed. So the late deadline is your last chance. The late deadline is your last chance, okay? And so if things go wrong then, that's not the same as if things go wrong when you're trying to turn things in on the on-time deadline, okay? I think I've said this little lecture before, and I'll probably say it every single time, and every single time it'll be true. And even if I didn't say it, it would still be true, all right? So again, I hope you're understanding of that. And if you're not, I'm sorry, that's how it is anyway, all right? But here are the late due dates. Available to you so that you have the full picture. They were available before in the week folders. In the folder for the week, they were there, and then other locations as well. But I think it's better now that the late due dates are here in the on this chart. Okay, now what we have here is week 8, and you can tell that we have this journal assignment 8, right? Is going to be due. It becomes available Monday at 8 in the morning, and that's on right at the beginning of week 8. And it's due on the 15th of October, but it has a very generous late deadline of October 26th. I do not recommend you get anywhere near to October 26th because October 26th is the week when SA2 is due. And if you're still working on the journals, you're going to be in trouble, right? And I don't mean trouble with me, okay? You're not kids, okay? You don't get in trouble with the teacher. Who cares? The teacher, I'm the teacher, but I'm going to say it. I'm the least important person, okay? You're the only person that matters, all right? But I am the person who set up the rules, right? And I am going to go by the rules. So we all go by the rules. And so if you are doing your work up until the 26th, even though I allow you to, that's because I have my reasons for it. I picked that date on purpose, and it's fine. I have no problems with it. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it if I didn't like my own action. But the point is that you really should turn in the journal assignment by the 15th, or if you're going to be late, by the 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, as close as possible to the on-time deadline. Try for it not to be that. And remember, if you're going to be turning it in on the 26th at 11:59 p.m. and something goes wrong, well, you already know that you're almost asking for it. You're almost asking for something to go wrong. And then you can, I won't say don't bother telling me and don't bother asking me for extra time, but because I don't know, it's always okay to ask, right? But I would probably politely tell you, no, that was the late deadline and you had plenty of time to do it. Okay. All right. And so that's it. I won't speak about the other assignments. This is the focus assignment. All right. Now let's go to the syllabus. The concourse syllabus. I made a similar change to it. If we go to the topic outline, click that. I improved it in many ways, but and you can see it on the weeks, especially like week 1, week 2, like the weeks that are already passed. But let's go to the week that we're dealing with here. And this is week 8. You can see the assignments. This part right here was pretty much the same, but over here I improved it by adding the late dates, and I use this kind of bulleted style with it, right? So now clearly you can see what assignment is due, right? You can see the on-time deadline, the same one you see on the chart, and you can see the late deadline, and then you can see the same thing for the other assignments as well. So this is an improvement in that now that I say, look at the syllabus, right? Have a question, when does an assignment become available? It's here. When is it due? It's here. But I can also say, and the late deadline is also shown there, right? Because again, although I have been emphasizing that you should try to do assignments on time, it's not wrong to do the assignment late if you need to, right? And I know that I fall behind on things. I think you've noticed it sometimes, right? And you fall behind. All of us do, right? And it's nice to have a little extra time, right? And so I have no problem with it, other than the things that I mentioned, right? That things tend to go wrong in the last minute. So let's try not to work in the last minute. All right. Let's try not to. I don't know. It's hard to really argue, because I know things can go wrong several times. But I insist, let things go wrong several times before the deadline, right? Because then you still have time. All right, fair enough. Easier said than done, but what's the better way than that, right? There is none. Okay. So now I've shown you the syllabus. I've shown you this chart. I just want to show you that there are various places where you can find journal assignment 8. There's a journal assignments link on the left here, right? And then now this right here is not in the student view. So notice it says item is hidden from students. Those are like old assignments that are hidden. And then future assignments are hidden too. But some things are not hidden. For example, journal assignment 7 is not hidden because it's still within the late deadline, right? And so you certainly have the video for the previous journal assignment, but you also have the assignment there as well, right? It's also there. And then of course this journal assignment 8 is available. Actually, I'm making this video on October 11th. To me it's late Saturday night, but technically it's really early. It's 12:10 in the morning on Sunday morning. So that's why it seems like it's one day before. It's more like really 2 days before it becomes available, 1.5 days, 36 hours or so. And so the point is that this assignment, although it says hidden from students, you're probably watching this on Monday the 12th, and so therefore it's no longer hidden from you. You can see it, okay? Once you actually, not in the video, but in reality, when you click on the links, etc., you will come to it. You will find it, okay? So it should be there. And another thing that will also be here is this video. This video will be right there, right there between those two items. Okay, so it'll be available in the real place, right, in the folder for you to click on and watch. All right, which obviously you did because you're watching the video. All right. So that's the journals folder, and then there's also in course content. In course content. There are a couple of ways to get here, but you can use the assignments. Then you can click on essay assignments. Then you can click on essay 2 assignment, because this relates to essay number 2. And then a similar thing happens. You can see the different explanations for journal assignment 6, for journal assignment 7, and then finally for journal assignment 8, the video link will be right there. Okay, and it really, if you're watching this, it should already be available. Okay. All right, of course, something else that's in the SA2 folder is the SA2 instructions, the instructions for the first draft of SA2. Remember, we're building it slowly, right? I'll give you some feedback. That's what I'm behind on a little bit. I need to sit down and grade, but it took me a while to improve the syllabus. Oh, and I also updated the grade book. So when you go on My Grades, you can see more things and more important things. And I can't go into that right now, but I spent some time on doing several things. And so it's Monday morning. Monday morning, I'm going to be grading your journal assignment 6 and 7. Not 8, because that one's barely starting, but but I'll be grading 6 and 7 and until I finish. I don't know if I'll finish Monday, but maybe Tuesday, maybe Wednesday. I'll do it as fast as I can. But the whole point is that we're building essay number 2. It's important that you look at these instructions for essay 2. So let's look at them really briefly. I'm going to click on the link. And you'll notice that this is it's an essay where you're going to define yourself according to one specific aspect of your life, and then you're going to split it into 3 parts. Here are some possible ways of defining yourself. Usually not physical characteristics, is preferably that you not, I would say don't. Like don't say, I define myself as tall. Well, it's doable to write that essay, but if it's just like physical description, then again, that might be interesting, but I'm asking for something on the inside more than on the outside, right? And then here it is. I think journal assignment 6 was to build to do a brainstorm and then to build an outline. And then a journal assignment 7 was introduction and body paragraph A. So now journal assignment 8 is body paragraphs B and C, and then B and C, and then journal assignment, what is it? 9 will be the conclusion paragraph. Okay, make sure you read all the instructions. But what's the most important for journal assignment 8, of course, will be just this section of the instructions, which is also, I copied this into the instructions for journal 8 when you click on it. Okay, so there it is. Let's see, something else I wanted to say. Oh yeah, the length of the essay is for the total essay, for all 5 paragraphs. And so don't worry about it too much, but when you do put all 5 paragraphs together, it has to be at least 600 words and no more than 1,200. Okay, so those are the limits. All right, so that is looking at the essay, looking at the complete product, right? Okay, that's that. Let me go now to the week folders, right? Course content, week 8. Week 8, the week folder is saying, why are you calling me weak, right? I'm strong. All right, okay, week 8. Weekly folder, I guess is a better way of saying that. And notice the SA2 assignment folder is there, right, as something that's coming up that'll be due on a later week, which would be on October 31st. If, again, get it done on October 30th or October 29th, right? Don't say, I can't get it done on Halloween. Okay, I agree. All right, don't get it done on Halloween. Get it done before. But if for some reason, you know, you're partying and at the same time maintaining social distance and all the requirements, right? Then you still stay up late. Makes sense because the 31st is kind of like a weekend. If I'm not mistaken, it's a weekend. So you still have a week. But just remember what I said, right? Get it done as soon as possible, before, right? On or after the deadline. Try not to go all the way to November 7th. All right. But if you need it, there it is. But that's the essay, right? That's coming up. We're on journal assignment 8, right? And the deadline is the 15th. The 15th is, if I'm not mistaken, well, I won't be mistaken, I'll look at it, is Thursday. But if not, you have till the 26th. Try to do it as close to the deadline as possible. All right, so there it is. I'm going to click on it. And when I do so, and I even have some stuff highlighted, that's good. We can look, we can see that it's, we can see these instructions. Please read them. Sometimes students, some of you have, and I have teach 5 classes, so, and many of you don't, all right? Let me begin by saying asking questions is good, okay? And even if it's, every question is good, all right? So again, I'm tempted to say that some questions are not good questions. I'm tempted, and I guess I said it. But it's better to ask the question than not, okay? All right, let's get that out. I'm getting that out of the way, and I'm sincere about it. Otherwise, I wouldn't say it. I'm never insincere, okay? All right. However, I'm also sincere about this. Some of the questions, I think, let's say it this way, you could have saved your own time, right? The time of contacting me and then waiting for my response. I try to answer as soon as possible. But you none of that needed to happen if you had just read the instructions, which show what you need to do, okay? So make sure that you read everything here carefully so that you know what the journal is about and stuff like that. When a student writes and says, what's journal 8 about? You know, again, I get paid for my time, right? And so it's fine. But you yourself will not make up for that lost time that you ended up incurring, ending up with, because you didn't read the instructions. So make sure you read through everything that's here, okay? And what you have is the main thing is that you're typing 2 paragraphs. My preference, all these pretty much say the same thing. Then my preference is that you do it on a Word or similar document and then attach it with the attach files box, right? But that if you prefer to type it out inside the entry message box, that's fine too. That'll work, okay? Now, let's see, what do I need to say here? And this is, what do I write in my journal entry? So again, that question, what do I say in my journal 8? Well, I asked the same question in advance in the guidelines section, and then I answered it, right? So everything's there. So let me show you a sample of this, okay? And again, make sure you read through all these instructions, including like these other things right here. These are not specific to the assignment. You'll see this attached to all the instructions for all journal assignments, but they are important. Like I say, like it says in here somewhere, not being clear on these things may lead to you submitting something good, but me not being able to read it, not being able to open it, and therefore you're getting a 0 on it, right? And so that could be a problem. And you'll wonder what happened. Well, something related to this stuff right here happened, and it didn't go through, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to create a journal entry, like you should do too. I'm gonna say JA8. And then here, this is where I could just type my 2 paragraphs right there. I could do that, right? And if that were the case, I would just hit post entry and I'd be done. In my case, I'm going to attach. I'm going to go to browse my computer. And out of my files here, I'm going to attach my document. So let's see, where is it? There's like a certain pattern for naming these things. And so here's number 8. So there's my Word document, and I would post it. So there it is. So I've posted the assignment. And so you can see right away that it appears there. So this is what I see when you submit something. When you have a document, it's there somewhere, and I click on it, and then I press it, and then I view it. Or it's some kind of link that leads into the assignment, into that entry message box. Or wait a minute, I think maybe I can see it right here. Yeah, I can read it, read the whole thing right here, right? You click to enter the box. In my case, it displays here, and I just read it directly. Either way is fine. Remember that for the actual essay, you will have to submit a document as opposed to putting it in the message box. All right, so let's look at mine. All right, so I think my download went off screen, but I'll just get it. Or actually, you can still see me clicking on that. So I'm opening the Word document, just like I would if you had attached the Word document. And one thing I'm not going to do here, in the interest of keeping this a little bit shorter, I'm not going to open my outline, but I invite you to do that as when you view my sample, because this sample will be available to you as well, or rather is available to you. Make sure that something weird is happening here. Okay, you can see my document, right? It's within the area. All right. Make sure that you go back and look at my outline, right? It's attached to the Journal 6 video, right? You have the Journal 6. The Journal 6 assignment is no longer there. You can no longer do it, but the video is still there in the Week 6 folder, in the essay folder, and in the journals folder. It's everywhere. And so make sure you look at how I went from my ordered list or informal outline to this. So look at the section that I called body paragraph B for the third paragraph, and look at the section that was called body paragraph C, and then see what parts from my outline I used in the actual paragraph. And I know that there are several things that I use. Some things I actually went and copied and then I pasted into here. but I did add a lot of detail. I added details that weren't there, ideas that came to me that hadn't come to me a few weeks ago when I wrote the outline. Now, if you go back to the instructions for the instruction sheet, or rather the instructions from the instruction sheet, you will see that I'm using the same structure that was used for SA1, that is being used for here in SA2, and of course in every body paragraph. The structure is that you need to have a short topic sentence, right? So there it is. And you can look at that as the top bread of a sandwich. And then the bottom bread of the sandwich is the closing sentence. I call them closing remarks. And that could be 1 or 2 sentences. I think in my case, this is my closing. I don't think this "she's right" was the 1 of 2 closing sentences. So this is the bottom bread, the bottom slice of bread. And so everything in between, all the good stuff in between, constitutes or is the supporting detail sentences. The supporting details support this main idea topic sentence right there, okay? As far as numbers, I've told you the numbers. It should be 1 topic sentence, just 1, and short is good. Longer sentences, not a good idea, okay? Short. Don't make the mistake of putting a comma and then starting on your second sentence after a comma, because technically that'll still be 1 very long sentence, all right? It should be 1 short sentence, and then, like I did here, start a second sentence, and that's the beginning of the details. And the closing remark should be 1 or 2. In my case, I chose to wrap it up in 1 sentence. It's right there, okay? In the middle, there should be a minimum of 6 sentences. Minimum, all right? And I went well beyond the minimum. Had I only written 5, I would have not been keeping the rules, because the rules are 6 or more. But I don't know, I wrote about, I don't know, 13, 14 sentences, 15, I don't know. I made some changes at the end, so I know I counted them, but then I don't know what happened after the changes that I made. So when I counted it, there were 15, so clearly I met the minimum of 6, all right? Now, the second paragraph say pretty much the same thing, right? There's my topic sentence. And then my closing, I'll go to the end. I think it's this one. I think this is the closing sentence or the bottom bread. So top bread right there of the sandwich, and then bottom bread of the sandwich, and then in between all the good stuff, right? All the good stuff right there in between. So top bun of the Impossible Burger right there, bottom bun of the Impossible Burger, and then all the impossible stuff that's in that burger in between. And here, those are the supporting sentences. And again, you can see that I met the minimum for sure, right? I think there are about 16 sentences or so in there. Now, you may be wondering, aren't those paragraphs too long, Mr. Perez? Your answer is maybe. I would say yes, they are too long, but define too. What does it mean that they're too long? Maybe not. Because what I did is I took the 2 paragraphs, the introduction, which was very little, and then body paragraph A, and I took these 2 paragraphs and I pasted them together with the other 2. And so I think I had 1,187 words, and that was including the heading, which I'm not sure really that should count against me in the title. But anyway, so I'm still within the 1,200, but that means that my conclusion is going to have to be 13 words only. So I'm going to have to do something. So before I put the whole essay together, just like you will, right? Before I put the whole essay together, all 5 paragraphs, I'm probably going to see when I write my conclusion, that will probably be, I don't know, 50, 60 words long, maybe a little less. And so it will go over 1,200. And then I'll go through all my paragraphs from top to bottom, and I'll be cutting until I get it to be no more than 1,200 words, all right? And that's my usual procedure. I always say too much, write too much, and then I cut back. In many people, I would say there are more people in the other camp, which is those who don't say enough, and then have to be like adding more, and can you say it? And teachers or tutors say, how about telling me more about this and all about that, right? To get them to say more and get to the minimum, right? My problem is keeping it within the maximum. Okay, that's my problem. And there probably are some of you who may be in that camp as well. All right, either way, the limits are 600 to 1200. All right. Now, let's look at the topics. My topic, and you know what? I mentioned my outline. If I had wanted to change my topics, I could have. I don't recommend changing the whole topic. Really, don't do that. My main topic, in my case, is that I'm defining myself as a man of faith, as a person of faith. That's my definition of myself. Okay, and so I wouldn't change that topic. But let's say that I looked at my outline and I thought, you know what, there would be something else that I should focus on in the second part, in body paragraph B. Then I could do that. But in my case, it was fine. I had plenty to say about this, about family life, how I use faith in my family life. And so I said it. So some highlights, and you will notice this from the outline, that time when someone said that I would have trouble finding a wife that was up to my standards. All right. And I'll write to you what I wrote here. It was someone who said that, and I felt like the person was condemning me. Like, I'm like, oh, great. You're kind of like saying, you know what, you're never going to find a wife because there's no one good enough for you, right? And I thought, well, thanks. That's wonderful, right? Maybe I should become some kind of bum or something so there'll be someone good enough for me, right? But I think she was right. It was good advice. And notice what I wrote here. I wrote, where was it? Yeah. I put here, I knew the lady wasn't trying to say that I thought my future wife had to be a supermodel. Okay, she wasn't talking about superficial things. All right. Although I did write here that I did find the right woman later on, and that she was more beautiful than a supermodel, and is and always will be. All right. And so the point is that you know, I did include something from the outline, but notice how I expanded on it, right? And I saw that in essay 1 that you all expanded on ideas from your outline. Usually outlines, if done right, are short, right, and to the point, brief. So you have to expand them out in the paragraphs, okay? And so then I talked about faith that it takes to be a father and do things, etc. One highlight is that my wife has pointed out that when my kids point out that I'm doing or saying something wrong, that I should listen, all right, and not dismiss it. And so that's something that takes faith. And so I put that in there. It's not easy to do at all, trust me, but nonetheless, it is true that needs to be done quite often. And so those are a couple of highlights in things that I think require faith, like the trust that life can get better and can get even better when we make good choices. All right. Over here, faith and music. This was my favorite paragraph. I talked about my little drama that I had when I was in 5th grade. How somebody said, a teacher said, that the good singers were on the edges and toward the front. And of course, I noticed, okay, I'm in the middle and toward the back. And so, again, and don't think that I'm trying to say the teacher was a bad teacher. I'm not saying that. But it was a problem for a couple of years. Then I like this part where I put that I saw a music video on MTV. And now there's like 10 MTV channels, and it seems like none of them have music videos. But anyway, I'm talking like a dinosaur here. Back in my day, there were actual music videos on MTV. But anyway, the point is that I saw a Christian metal band that is still one of my favorites. Amazing band. I won't mention it, which one it is. But those who know music and this kind of music probably know whom I'm talking about. 1987 was the year. And so I saw that band and I was hooked. And from that moment onward, I was like, you know, I was taking my cello and trying to use it as a bass to imitate the bass player. And I was singing, which was the most important part. And I didn't care anymore how annoying I was to people around me. And so I started singing again. Then I talk about my mistake of quitting the cello, right? But then I talk about how, and that was more like in high school. And then I talk about how now I will not quit the guitar or the ukulele or the bass, and maybe hopefully one day I'll get back to the cello. I'm basically saying, I think my main point is that I have faith, and that in this case, music is another aspect, another area of my life in which faith is required. I believe it's required in everything. And so that's one thing that I chose to focus on. Remember, you choose what to focus on. And I thought this would be interesting. And so I chose it. I had like 10 other possibilities for this paragraph. And what I like here is that I put, I wrote something like this final point I made. Um, where was it? I mean, you'll read it eventually here. But I mean, I guess the point was that like when my wife gave me a guitar, and even though I said, you know, my fingers are too fat, she gave me the guitar anyway, and I'm glad she did that. Of course, I gave in. Who's not gonna give in to trying to play a guitar, right? It's a fun thing, and so I did, and I'm glad I did. And so I don't know if I'll ever play well, but I'll always play. All right, if I can. And I put here, if I can't, I will play in my dreams. Right? Where does it say that? It says, if I can, there it is. And when I can't, like physically, then I'll play in my dreams. And so the key is to this essay is faith. Through faith, I've overcome many obstacles and allowed myself to enjoy music in my life, regardless of the, you know, discouragement that sometimes happens when people give their opinion, which they're entitled to, right? Okay, or we meet disappointments, such as when I had a when I didn't make the varsity orchestra in my sophomore year, which no one said was a requirement, right? I could have tried in my junior year, but you know, I almost said like something informal here. It wasn't very smart. I should have stuck with it. But okay, so faith will conquer regret as well. So I'm not leading my life by regret. So that is the essay. That rather, those are 2 paragraphs for the essay. Let me close them, and they're going to be available to you attached, just like the other. Let's see, the other journals. For example, the one for. Let me go back to the weekly folder. I can go to 8, not a problem. I can go to the. Well, let's go to the one from 7 because I'm trying to compare this to the week 7 one. In the week 7 one, you can see that the video, that the sample document is attached within the item that has the video. Okay, so the same thing will happen with this one. All right, so that's it. I hope that you have a good experience writing those 2 paragraphs, and again, always kind of serve things as a double purpose. I know that writing about faith, which is something important to me, the way that I'm defining myself is important to me. So I like the fact that I'm using this occasion in which I want to provide you an example that I get to write about this, right? Sometimes we go through life and we never write it down, and so it's important to write it down. Pictures and voice recordings are also good, right? But there's something powerful by writing things down, especially about your thoughts, feelings, and experiences. All right, so I hope that is something that you experience. Let me get back to week 8 though, just so there's no confusion about what we're doing, right? This is really the weekly folder is probably the easiest way to navigate because everything you need for the week is there, right? But you also know there are other items such as the schedule, the syllabus, and other locations where you can find things as well. All right, make sure you mind these other things that are also going on. And that's it. Any questions you have, the best way to contact me is through Pronto, right? And so I look forward to answering your questions, etc. All right, thank you, and I'll see you and talk to you soon. Bye-bye.